Welcome to Center of Light. Keith Anthony Blanchett here. Ya na va. To you, all my brother and sister astronauts, as we launch for inner space. Center of Light Radio, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Radio for the soul in the transformation station. It's good to see you here tonight. I have a wonderful guest. She lives out in the country in Texas, where everything's big, and we hope she has some big reception tonight. She's having some reception issues being so far out there remotely. So hopefully we can make everything happen. A couple of adverts real quick, and we're going to get right down to business. Long weekend. Beautiful weekend. Met a lot of wonderful people. October 9th is the date. For my PCP course, we're going to be doing some PCP, y'all. We're going to touch the angels with some angel dust. PCP, Power Connection Purpose, 6-week Bust You Wide Open course. You must sign up now. If you are interested in this course, leave it in this forum. Yes, Keith, I am interested in this course. It'll be an online video forum like you see now, but no one has access but you because you paid for it. 4 models for spiritual alignment, and you will have an immediate experience. Trust me. I will throw you into the moving river. We will have question and answers throughout the 6 weeks, but during the day, if we're not having an online session, this will take place on Wednesday nights, I believe, at 7 p.m., and it'll last however long it needs to. But throughout your week, if you have something that you want to refine because of the course that you are involved in, you can just send me an inbox message and we begin to dialogue. That's one of the perks. Question and answer. Remember that. It's a very small fee that is required of you, but what is more important than the fee is it requires all of you. You have to dive in it. You have to want to win it. Tomorrow night, Memphis, Tennessee, Swamji, Divine Man, an avatar, translates definition, God on earth. 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. If you can get to Memphis, come on. You're invited. There is no money involved, no money exchanges. What is the state of the world will be the questions or the umbrella of where everyone's going to be fashioning their questions to speak with Swamji. No political questions are allowed. Instead of why are they spraying the skies, why are they doing this, why are they, that's politics. He will not answer, and I will not let those questions filter through. Instead, we understand there's some happenings in the world. What can we do about these things? He would love to answer your beautiful question. He's a beautiful incarnation. He's funny. And is it possible you're being called? Have you ever thought it would be like to have a conversation with Jesus or Buddha, Krishna, someone that you revere in such a way that it creates this beautiful humility inside, which I always say is the doorway. Why do Buddhist monks live their life in this posture? Because they get it. They understand. They know what it takes to stay in the cosmic dialogue. You know, let's get right down to the show. I usually do a lot of adverts, but there was a lot of advertisements. Where's my tongue tied? Advertisements I had to do because of the spiritual fair that just took place. And I will say thank you again, Victoria Smith. I want to bring my guest on, Linda Good McGillis. She's a very simple girl, and I love it. She doesn't have a bio. She doesn't like it. She don't want that, and I totally respect her. She's Linda Good McGillis. Her Facebook page is in this post somewhere. I will be posting that again shortly. Let's get right down to Center of Light Radio Beeswax. Welcome to Center of Light, my good friend Linda. How you doing, baby girl?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here, dear. And first thing that came to mind for me was to ask you about your spiritual name. Soul. Let me see if I get this right. Soul Ma. Tell me.
Soul Armastra.
How did you acquire this name, and what does it mean for you?
What does it mean for me?
And how did you receive this divine name of yours?
I am a walk-in. I walked in 6 years ago into the vessel. I don't look at myself as a human. For me, I am an omnipresence. I go by my galactic name. My galactic name is Solar Ma Sun Ra. I'm the second great 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 grand central sun.
So you know you can't just divulge that kind of information and me not lean into it talking about a walk-in.
I'm a walk-in. I had a walk-in experience.
What about the family members of those of Linda before you came into the vessel? How do they treat, respond, react with this
They
new energy that came in 6 years ago?
they have I have very little contact with Linda's family. The only aspect of that part of the vessel's family that I have is with my what I refer to as my sister. To be a walk-in and to integrate into a form when you haven't been in form, you've been a light body. It takes adjustment. It took 3 times to adjust my consciousness to the vessel. When I walked in, the vessel almost short circuited. I came here for a galactic purpose only.
Without being too personal, if you choose, what was happening with the previous landlord to where you had the opportunity? She was just not well. She was,
Yeah,
deteriorating, or what was that?
everybody has a soul contract before they walk in because this is a planetary ascension cycle. Whenever we have approximately every 130,000 years, whenever we have a planetary ascension cycle, not just an individual soul ascension cycle, which occurs every 25,950, 60 years, approximately 920, I think it is. And so whenever we go through a planetary ascension, we always have ourselves from higher dimensions come in and assist. I'm one of those aspects that come in. I come in for a short amount of time and then I exit. Now with the vessel, when Linda walked out, we went through, and I say we because it's not separate. It's just a lower aspect, if you will. It was a matter form aspect that played a specific role for humanity's ascension. And when that aspect walked in and walked out and I walked in, it's a very beautiful experience. What we do is when we do that, and there's not a whole lot of us that walk in. The majority when we ever go through and shut it down a grid to light up a new grid system, if you will, what is different in this planetary ascension is we are birthing a brand new root race. And that is not something that we normally, well, it's not something we have ever done in the history of creation while in form. And so as we are creating this crystalline root race, not only is it just the ground crew that is awakening to remember to themselves, as the veil is removed, that which seemed to be dead or transcended comes alive, comes back into form, the higher in frequency the vessel, or in this case, the planetary vessel, rises in frequency. So it's not like we've just been invisible. So as we bring the above and the below together, that which seemed transcended comes alive. And that is what is occurring right now. So more and more, there's so much labels. Humans love labels and titles. And there's so many different words to use to describe it. But in all actuality, all we're doing is the higher humans, mankind, raises their individual frequency, and as a mass collective raises their frequency, they remove their veils, we become seen, is really what it is.
Let me ask you this: the way you described it, let's call it Linda number one and then Linda number two, just for the sake. You described, and of course you meant it in the loving way. You said when Linda, which was a lower aspect of you, stepped out, and the higher aspect of you, same being, just different perspective, steps in. Would it be fair to say that when Keith was in his early 20s and he was living a certain lifestyle with a certain consciousness and mindset and heart set or lack of heart set, when I began to awaken, would it be the same thing, that a higher aspect of me begin to seat itself, or is this something completely different that Keith just got better?
Different. It's something completely different. When I say a lower aspect of myself, I don't see myself as an individual. When I say I or me or you, I only know myself as whole. I walked in with full wisdom, with full access, full knowing of the entire Akashic records. I come from 175 million years in the future, and yet I am the first and second most ancient fractal of our soul as a whole. So for me, for my consciousness of us as a whole, I was Christed a little over 2,000 years ago. So I come back as Christed to hold a Christed template. I came in specifically for a purpose. The soul aspect that housed this vessel, and notice how I say that, the soul aspect that housed this vessel, she went back to source. I'm a completely different, I'm a sentient being that walked in. I'm not another, just a fractal of us. We as a whole, in order to do this planetary ascension, play specific roles, whether it's known as Linda, whether it's known as Keith. But for us, we only go by a signature name. You know, that's why you see so many go like this. We on the angelic galactic or just the galactic side. And so for me, I have no attachment to my vessel. I understand that this vessel in this lifetime, whether it's Keith, whether it's myself, whether it's Tom, Dick, and Harry, I understand that this is a mold. Why? Because we're crystallining and birthing a brand new root race. So it's two totally different aspects. Linda was an incarnate that was here to finish her soul evolution on an individual fractal of us as a whole. She completed her soul evolution at what she needed to do in this incarnation. Her soul aspect will reincarnate. She offered her vessel as an instrument for the divine will, for the whole, for the highest good of all. For me, this is an avatar.
So, what is your connection to Sun, Ra, Soul, SOL? What is your connection there? Obviously, it's vibratory connected because you chose this spiritual name. So, what is your connection with that, and what is the fire that you're here to bring, sister?
I carry me, the team. We all have the same team. I hold the original blueprint of us as a whole, Christos Sophia. The infiltrated consciousness, by what is labeled as the Anunnaki, the elite, the reptilian, whatever you want to call it, they're all specific timeline frequencies, vibrations. They're all just a matter of belief. I walked in specifically carrying our original blueprint of our DNA, 144 geometric circuitry, for the sole purpose of overriding the binary code that they used to infiltrate the consciousness of humanity. That brought them from a higher strand DNA matrix down to a two-strand DNA matrix within their own DNA blueprint. We're never alone. The whole point of ascension, of bringing the above and the below together, is to flip the switch. Humanity has been in an infiltrated consciousness that had them connected in an inverse and a reverse of their blueprint. Their original blueprint is we are connected to a positive aspect of Sophia and a negative polarity of Lucifer. And humanity in the infiltration to gain experience was reconnected to a positive polarity of Lucifer and a negative polarity of Sophia. And as humanity and mankind remember and wake up to themselves, they are reversing and inversing that blueprint. Whereas in the human vehicle, the vessel, the body, there is 7 hearts located in your brain. There is 7 brains located in your heart. For the spiritual journey of awakening enlightenment, it is to inverse that process of they reinverted and connected our DNA, if you will, to our circuitry, to where the 7 hearts in the brain were activated first, and then the 7 brains in the heart, which put mankind in a vibratory space of creating through emotional thinking and emotional reacting. Whereas in our natural organic state of ourselves, feeling comes first. Our original blueprint, the 7 brains within our hearts, are activated first, and the 7 hearts within the brain second. And that's the blueprint that we are all here, whether it's just angelics, whether it's just galactics, or whether it's angelic galactics. We have never been apart, but the infiltrated program created the galactic aspects of ourselves to be demons, to be evil. So in the 7 spheres of heavens of the lower world, the angels became fallen and the galactics became demons. We're in the process of reuniting all aspects of ourselves. And that includes reversing the program that galactics are evil and demons and angels are fallen. In all actuality, we have never fell from grace.
Correct. Most people. Correct. No.
The only sin that exists in all truth of actuality, the only sin that exists was the original sin, and the original sin was creation itself. Spirit intercepted by noise.
Something other than source.
Yes.
I love it.
In the beginning, there was
I had a guest on my show recently say the beginning is ignorance because ignorance, oh, it has a beginning. If there was never a beginning, there would be no ignorance. We'd always be illumined and fully conscious. So, in the beginning means when we became ignorant. We could call that a
that's right.
fall,
We
but we
became
don't. What's that?
ignorant. Exactly. When we became ignorant,
That was the beginning. And
when we
so,
chose thought.
yes, and you can never really fall from grace. Falling from grace implies this separation, this tear, this rend, this big gap, because you cannot exist on earth and not be there, wherever the there is here, at the center point. People think that when they come to earth, that they leave this place. We always metaphor heaven up or whatever, that reality up. When we leave that place, that we come here, that we're no longer there, we're here. That is so far from the truth. The truth is, you are a
That's what,
consciousness in the divine matrix projecting your energy down to this lower plateau.
and that's the beautiful thing of it. We're collapsing that for the astral veil of tree of knowledge. You know, it is so intricately simple. The human mind cannot understand it. And this again is the original sin, to know the unknowable. You're never gonna know the unknowable. Why? Because it's ever expanding and yet never expanding. And so you're gonna seek it, you're gonna chase it, you're gonna push it away, you're gonna run after it, you're gonna search. You're gonna need, you're gonna want, you're gonna lust, you're gonna greed after the unknowable until you accept you can never know the unknowable. And as long as you keep chasing after knowing the unknowable, you will suffer because you push yourself away from
Dig
yourself.
that. You're running towards nothing. In fact, the nothing, the no thing you are looking for is not someplace down your timeline as you beat your feet towards this way to the future. It's right there. And that nothing, that no thing simply just sits. And people think, Linda, I would love your thoughts on this. First, I want to ask you a question from Tamika. Why did Spirit intercept? Can you explain why the original sin happened?
Well, I can give it to you from many angles of perspective. But how about I give it to you from us as a whole? When you look at us as a whole, we are the first and we are the last. We always birth ourselves into ourselves. And so as we birth a brand new root race, a brand new aeon, or another Sophia, if you will, because Christos Sophia is our original blueprint. So as we birth a new Sophia, that's who we are. So from that angle of perspective of us as a whole, I'm going to say this. In the beginning, their thought came out of consciousness, word, whatever angle you need it. That is what created us falling out of the pleroma, us out of that space of having everything we need, comfortable in the knowing, in the allness, if you will, of all that we are. In other words, curiosity killed the cat and created the fall of man because it created creation of thought. And that's really what it comes down to. We live in a mental matrix. It will always be mental, because outside of form, all we are is light particles. All we are is consciousness, awareness, energy. There is absolutely no separation, no division. We bring ourselves into limitation because think about it, guys. You've been in enslavement for thousands of years, and you have come into a space until you begin to awaken of existing. You get up, you take a shower, you get the kids to school, you go to work, you come home, you get the kids fed, you put the kids to bed, you fall into bed, you sleep, you get up, take a shower, you are in a hamster wheel. Now let's look at from the time this planet ascended in December of 2012. In that moment, we united ourselves and we shifted into an alternate reality. She is the earth matter ascended. But the beautiful thing about it is now consciousness in mankind is reaching a mass collective of ascending, right? So the past 7 years, which comes to a completion of this December 21st, we collapsed the 7 years between when the planet ascended and when us as a mass collective are ascending. For 7 years, we have been clearing infiltrated blueprints and templates of the 7 deadly sins, that which kept humanity seeking, searching, chasing after, running from, and kept them in enslavement. And we're almost to the last of those templates of Pandora's box. And that's a beautiful thing. The only way we get bored. That's why
Very
we
quickly.
create and come.
We get bored very quickly.
You have, that's what people need to understand. When you are not in form is the miracle. Everybody wants to leave the planet. They want us galactics to come save them and rescue them. Why would we do that? The meek inherit the earth. The rest of the dumb, excuse my language, the rest of the machines leave. We're
Yes.
machines that we're bringing alive. We're pumping our hearts alive, because the future that every single one of us here on this planet right now, we come from the future where we became machines because our hearts turned to stone. We're bringing ourselves alive. We've been in healing chambers, and this is going to blow the minds of you guys. For some of you it won't. We've been repeating the world was created in 7 days. For 7 years, we have been in a repeat hamster wheel cycle of 7 days, and only 7 days, to clear the templates of our entire ancestry that resides within the cellular memory of our DNA. And in this hamster wheel of 7 days that we have been in, repeating for 7 years, is about to come to a close. So in this 7 days that we've been repeating for 7 years, we have been, each of us, presented with opportunity to see from different angles of perspective because of different energies. If you don't get the lesson from this angle of energy, then we will repeat it and give you it in a different experience. Energy can play out in limitless ways.
However it wants. It's
Exactly.
unbridled.
So if you don't get the lesson this time from the way the energy played out, so maybe we're in a marriage, right? And we're abusive to each other, shall we say, right? If you don't learn the lesson and say you finally leave the relationship, you're going to attract that lesson back to you. It's just going to be what? in a different circumstance with a different mask of character. And so that's what we've been repeating for 7 years as we release from every root race that is held within our Akashic records. And that is directly tied into the infiltrated blueprint of the 7 deadly sins.
You know, people would automatically say, why is it my responsibility to clear up all this DNA garbage from everybody before me? Because you are blessed with the ability and the power to be able to do so. And in so doing, somewhat, to make a point, you're favored. You are divinely favored. You can. Oh, it's only through the human birth that God can be realized. Everything else in the universe can aspire to humanhood, but it's only through human birth that we can reach the apex of creation. That's how magical you are. So it's not a responsibility. It's a duty. It's a mission. It's a gift to say, oh my God, do I do this thing? How do I do this thing? They may ask. Well, would you just be joyful to the hilt? Be joyful, live in love, and I don't mean, hey baby, how you doing? Love, accept, allow, appreciate. That's love. Acceptance, allowance, and appreciation. And you move down the timeline with this heart set, and you become a warrior of light. From the chat room, Sister Nicole wants to ask the question. Keith, please ask Linda, what is 5D? And, you know, I want to get it from you, not from the pseudo spirituality people out there just throwing those words around like they don't mean anything. What is 5D and how can we ascend from 3D reality, she asked.
The only way you can ascend from a 3D vibratory frequency reality is to go into the darkness and ignite the divine spark that resides within there in your heart. It is to recognize the unconscious habitual behavioral patterns that have enslaved us for thousands of years. You are a divine being, but the thing is you are not who you think you are. You came back from the future to wipe up your children's asses. Period. That's your responsibility. Why? Because we are the ancient most fractals of our soul as a whole. That's our responsibility. It's not to be all positive and light and pretend that darkness doesn't exist. Why? Because Sophia is the mother of all creation. She created the angels. She created the galactics. She created the demons. And it's for you to learn how to love your brother and sisters. It's for you to sit there and come into the divine responsibility that this lifetime, being a planetary ascension lifetime, is the consequences of your choices, your decisions for thousands of years that you blame on your ancestors. You are the ancestors. You created the ancestors. The ancestors are your children. You are here to clean up your children's asses and their messes because you're the ones who taught them how to do it. Period. And you cannot be all love and light without allowing yourself to be dark. You want to be a dominatrix, be a dominatrix. You can still be an ascended being and be a dominatrix. It's the motivation and it's the intent. Now, to answer what 5D is, 5D is nothing other than a vibratory frequency of consciousness that is obtained and attained by purifying the DNA of your karmic messes and emptying your Akashic records of the individual that is held within your cellular memory. And it is for you to activate at least a minimum of a 5-strand DNA. The only way you can do that is to purify your own ancestral DNA. There is no healer out there, period. It's just new age bullshit. Why? Because everybody is a healer. So why label yourself? There's nobody out there that can heal you, remove entities, take demons, this, that, and the other away from you. Why? Because it's all just a memory. This planet ascended 7 years ago, and when she ascended, all you became was a memory, a vessel of memories And until you clear those memories from your cellular memory, your DNA, you cannot pump yourself alive out of the coma that you annihilated yourself into.
I've
So,
called it God Amnesia. I call it God Amnesia. We are so on the same page. From the chat room, let's see who asked the question. I think, let's see. Someone asked a question. I'll acknowledge who that is. They asked the question. And see, this is something I don't know about. What is this big December 21st, 2019? They asked the question, so what happens on December 21st, 2019? Are you familiar with this event? Because I'm not.
oh, I can tell you all of it. I bring the codes for it. Me, when I say I'm talking me and us as a team as a whole. When the ground crew, when you guys fell asleep, it's like this, guys. You live on a starship, period. When all the aspects of us that fell asleep and fell into density, right? Your light is what runs this starship that you guys call Mother Earth. And when you guys chose to come into the starship to experience and to clean up this mess and to stop accepting the infiltration behavioral patterns, if you will, the soul overlays that we all as a vessel hold within ourselves. And you, me, thee, they, whatever, needed a team to hold steady this ship as you guys came in to clear it, memory, cellular memory, out of density that's held within it, or release the bottom floors of the ship, if you want to call it like. Liken it to NASA putting a shuttle up. You know, you have the shuttle, but you have the firing thing that goes up, and then they release that, and the shuttle floats off into space, right? Like we're releasing the lower floors of the ship, if you will. But we all needed somebody to maintain the ship. Somebody has to drive the car, right? That's what I do. And when I say I, the team of us, we maintain the ship. We hold that light until you guys wake up to yourselves and you guys take command of your divine birthright. You take full
Let me
responsibility.
ask you this, Linda. Let me ask you this. I love the analogy. So when the planet ascended 7 years ago, and many people are still in the nightmare, the dream. What's happening in the world with all the chaos and all this is definitely not happening in the ascension of Sophia 7
Yeah.
years ago. This is only happening because everyone else is still on the sofa taking that nap when they have a bad dream, and they just can't wake
They're
up from it.
still in the crystal
They're
healing
still in it.
chambers trying to release their cellular memory from the DNA. And so what's playing out now? What is playing out now? Remember, we collapsed the matrix when she ascended. We went into an alternate reality to where we did not annihilate ourselves. Why did we do that? Because had all of the light that came in when this planet ascended, it would have annihilated us completely to where we never would have been able to come back into form. So again, we've come back to the future to rewrite the story because we made, as a whole and as individual fractals, we've made some pretty shitty decisions, guys. Simple as that.
Linda, let's hold it right
And
there. We're going to go to commercial break. Save that. That sounds like a great cliffhanger. Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchett is Center of Light Radio. I'm really digging it. I love her way. I love her. She has a different dialogue, a different jargon than everybody else. Really, really cool. Basically, what she is saying is
Access granted.
you always had it. You've always had access. We've always had access. Are you willing to wake up from the nap? You just have to shake yourself. How do you shake yourself, you may ask? First, you have to want to shake yourself to wake up. Be in the center of who you are. Be blissful. You're not sure what you need to do. You don't basically have to know what to do to wake up. You simply just have to want to. The universe, yourself, the grandiose part of who you are, the majesty of your soul, everything that you are and beyond what you can possibly understand or even grasp, even an inkling of, you can have it all, but you have to want it like your breath. Every breath you breathe, imbue it with intention, and your awakening and to the ascension will happen. Need I mention, we're going to be right back after some lavender soul. Take a deep breath. Your life is for breathing in the precious love of your Creator. All right? I'll see you shortly. Stick around.
How long's the break? So I can take a drink of a cigarette?
Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in
Oops.
love. Give in love. Be in love. And love you shall receive.
Welcome back to Center of Light. Keith Anthony Blanchett here. Yanava. Ya. Heart. God. Will. Na. Mind. Discernment. Reasoning. Intelligence. Not the ooh ooh ah ah monkey mind. We're talking about using the mind as a tool versus the mind using you and making you a slave. Va is the backbone. When you are congruent with these aspects of yourself, simply you wake up from the bad dream of separation and you ascend. And we are speaking with my brand new good friend all the way from Texas, Linda Good McGillis, and I am truly enjoying this dialogue with her. She is powerful, dear Lord. She is powerful, powerful. Linda, where did we leave off, dear? We got another 15, 20 minutes. Let's hit it hard.
I can't remember where we left off, but I wanted to answer you. You read somebody wants to know what's against about December. December
Yes,
21st,
yes, yes,
19th, our
yes.
liberation. Why is it our liberation? Because we fully go back to, we collapse the 7 years from her ascended state and our as a mass collective ascended state. That's the significance. At that point, that leads us into January, and we come into what I'm going to say the Saturn aspect and the Pluto aspects of us as a whole. In other words, the Lord of Karma and the Lord of the Underworld decide to come face to face with each other. And at that point, 2020 is significant. 2020 is going to lead us into the final judgment. And what I mean by the final judgment is anything we have not cleared from our hearts and any fear-based programming infiltration that has not been overwritten by the individual. So fractal, that is what will play out as out here for the mass collective to experience. The beautiful thing about this, all of it, is as much as there is so much distortion out here, the only thing you have to do is come to understand, overstand, understand, through stand, around stand. There's only one path to the light.
Hello,
One.
someone is reading. I've always said there's only one path. There is only one path.
There's only one path. There's many journeys. There's many journeys. There's many side roads. There's only one path to the light. And that light is within you. And it's up to us to bring our hearts alive again. Why? Because we have shut ourselves down through behavioral patterns of emotional reaction, of emotional thinking. And the only way for you to ascend, because ascension's a planetary event, awakening is a soul event. And the only way to do either or and both is to truly override your mind. Change Metatron's cube to a diamond, flatten the cube, because the cube is the loop. The cube keeps you veiled from the other 15 sides of that cube in simultaneous alternate realities. It keeps you fractuated. You want to smash the cube and turn it into a diamond. You want to turn it, flip it and turn it and get yourself off of Ezekiel's will. And that's the beautiful thing about all of the energies coming up. The beautiful thing about this equinox. A year ago at the equinox was an ascension gateway. At that moment, every soul made a choice to either ascend to a higher frequency timeline reality or to stay in a repeat cycle of reincarnation. For the last year, that's what's playing out. What now is playing out in the energies from this equinox is the truth is coming for every fractal, just what they've chosen at a soul choice. You've made your bed, now you're going to have to lie in it. And where everything has been up to this equinox Everything has been a reflective energy, yes. Now it's going to come back. All the energy that has been put out, good, bad, or indifferent, is now going to start becoming an absorbing energy. And there is no escaping the absorbing energy at this point. Everything, every emotion that any of us have. In the spiritual communities, they teach you to bypass emotions. Oh, just be all positive, just be all mental, say affirmations, and you will ascend. We have 3.7 million light workers in awareness, and less than 900,000 of them made them through an ascension gate. Why? Because I just have to be all frosting and cupcakes. And they totally ignore their
Yes.
darkness. And that's the only way you can ascend, is to stop emotionally thinking and feel, because the fifth dimensional and higher frequencies is a feeling reality. Humanity thinks feeling is emotional thinking. If you want to, the thing is, Keith, you pissed me off. No, Keith didn't piss you off. Something already existed in you that pissed you off. And the thing is to go from, Keith, you pissed me off, you made me angry, you did this to me, to, wow, I don't know what it is that we're talking about, what part of it, but I feel angry through this, and I'm not sure what it is. You know, we have to stop blaming. And the only reason we blame anything outside of ourselves for our misery is because we've been taught to not feel. And that's why we have to bring our heart alive. Why? Because breath is the miracle. Form is the miracle. It's not going to heaven. Heaven's not a place. It's not a destination. It's your heart.
It's a space, not a place. I had a guest on my show some years ago. I love what she said. Everyone is deluded. Everyone thinks that the way to God is through the light. God is not, you're not going to achieve God through the light. The light you have
Nope.
in your life is God. The only way back to remembering and being with the it is through the dark, because that's the hot stuff you have to dissipate in order for the light to come into that fractal of yourself. So the light that
There's
you
not,
have in your life, you're already illuminated.
there's nothing more comical for me
You're right.
than to sit there and hear all these so-called spiritual gurus, teachers, this, that, and the other, that sit there and say, oh, you can't have judgment, but pay attention to discernment. Discernment is judgment. You're coming into a crystalline form. As long as you're in any kind of form, crystalline or human, there's going to be judgment, period. Why? Because you need common sense. Get over your judgment. You can't have judgment. There's a difference between lower definition of judgment and a higher truth of judgment. And as we're creating a brand new, and this is key, this is something that needs to be embedded in all of us. We're creating a brand new root race. Therefore, we don't want none of this human incarnation. We want all our incarnations. We have to let go of the human incarnation of a singularity so we can bring in all fractals of our information, of our knowledge. And the key is not to get caught up in a whole new box that I can't do this, I can't do that. The only way you're going to get to the light is to go through the darkness. Why? Because the Garden of Eden, the Avalon, is in hollow earth, in the center of earth. And why do you not physically see it? Because you haven't gone through your karmic layers that overlay hollow earth, period. And we as a collective have not broke through those karmic layers. And the greatest thing you can do is truly, you are nearest your light when you are in the depths of your darkness. Why? Because you surrender.
You have no choice.
You
You have no choice.
control.
You can sit there and waddle in the mud all you want. But when you're in that dark space, you are closer to God because you're taking the initiative to say, I'm willing to move through hell to get to heaven. That's the only way. There's nothing else. The places you have in your life that are illumined is evident. Joy is evidence of the presence of God. So the aspects of your life that you have joy, you've done the work. It's cleared. You're ready to go. You're ready to rock. But you have to be willing and brave. And for me, probably as well as Linda, I can't speak for her, but I'm assuming because the little I know her.
Yeah.
As teachers, if you're around us and you talk about wanting to move through your darkness and you're just not brave enough, if you're around me, I will grab you and throw you in the river.
Oh, me too. I mean,
Right,
I
exactly.
just have 7 women here for the equinox and for Enchanted Rock to go fully ignite Enchanted Rock. And I tell you what, to watch the amount of personalities and the beliefs, and it's wild. The only thing you need truly is to understand that your breath is the miracle, that you being in form is the miracle. If you can walk through the valleys of the shadows of death, of understanding that all the suffering and trauma, and we've all been through it this lifetime, all of us, of that which we have suffered in this lifetime is every experience that we've ever had as DNA. And when you make it impersonal, you come to understand you don't want to return home. You don't want to return to some galaxy because you're here to inherit the earth. We're all here from every galaxy, every this. Why? Because we all get to crystalline ourselves into eternal life, not just humans. The only thing that matters is your breath. And for you to understand the miracle that you are bringing to life in this form, flesh will disappear. It's a mold. We're going from a 666, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, 6 neurons, to a crystalline body of 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 1 neuron. The only thing you have to do to ascend is overwrite your mind with the power of your breath. Everything you see that does represent the miracle of you living, which your breath is creator, period.
Period. That's it. If God is the source of life and God breathed life into man, every breath you bring into your being is the divine. It's the divine breath. Linda, I've often said, lightning strikes and you have an issue in your life, right? So instead of, after you get out of the, oh my God of it, and you put that down for a little while, and you bring it back and you look at it honestly, and you taste it, and you smell it, and you see what it really wants and what it really, really is. The best ploy you have, instead of 6 months, 2 years down the road of dealing with a past emotional baggage, is to take this thing that has you overwhelmed, because if God is love and God is light and God is breath, if this thing in your life that you deem as dark, you bring the light to it, it simply dissipates and you will no longer carry it. Same with when you want to manifest something in your life. Here's something I want, whatever it is. Something beautiful. It could be a house, it could be a car, it could be a relationship. It could be a peaceful, easy feeling. Look at it. And you blow. The reason you do this is because we know that meditation and visualization is great for manifesting. Well, when you breathe, you blow, which is intention, your breath now becomes a carrier. Blow in your arm, you feel it. It's a physical sensation. So you're adding another component to your manifesting bag of tricks. God is breath. God is life. So if this thing you're trying to create in your life, your new baby, whatever that is, when you breathe into it, you impregnate your creation with intention, and your breath now becomes a carrier. What is the saying? A butterfly flaps its wing on one side of the world and it creates a typhoon on the other. Same idea.
Hmm. Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about that, when you come to understand and you truly bring yourself into mastery by detaching from the emotional perception of the human, and you find truly the remedy is the tragedy. Pain, it turns to pleasure. You find the pleasure in the pain. And by doing so, you change the story. And that's what we're doing. That's how powerful we are. Our breath is the miracle that is going to change this shift, this perception of a mass collective out here to finally see Avalon, Shambhala, Garden of Eden, whatever, paradise, heaven, whatever you want to call it. If every single person that was in awareness, every single person, no matter how much awareness, got together in the same moment and the same breath, and with the purest of intent and the centering in their heart, and commanded, demanded, declared, and invoked and decreed. And I use those 5 words for specifically. In the same breath, demanded peace be restored to this earth, you would shift this to a vibrational frequency where that would exist in one breath. That's how powerful we are. One breath. That's the goal we should be promoting through every one of us. That's the events we should be planning, because everything else is a timeline. Ascension's already happened, but how many people are still sitting here talking, waiting for the event? It's all a matter of what you attach to.
Yeah, Linda, I like you. I look out into the social media world, and I love all these young bucks and all these young vixens, and they're throwing out a spread of tarot cards, and I get all that, and boy, they have no hesitation to throw out the word 5D and ascension. I get it; it's cool and it's cute. I'd rather spiritual. I'd rather spiritual. Absolutely, and that's a beautiful thing. Who doesn't want to be alone? And I think it's wonderful in their greenness. I love that spirituality is a trend versus it not being. Sadly, Linda, we're coming to the end of this interview because I have to go play music. Would you like to leave us with a burst of light from that beautiful big old lion heart you got?
Dance, guys. We've inherited the earth already. And it's just for you to choose to find the magic in the consequences of what we're living out. Be the peace, be the calm. Don't emotionally react, even though we know this stuff is here. And let love be your guide, but that love's not outside of you. That's what I would say.
Thank you, dear. Everyone, I've been posting Linda's contact, which is Facebook, in this forum. Please feel free to click on that link and trample all over her heart and sight. Become intimate with her. Just like me. I'm just the guy next door, just like she is the girl in the country. Hang out. What else do we have to do? And share this beautiful work, this particular interview, as well as all of my work. We're all in this together. We may be the speakers, you may be the listeners. Some else of us are speakers as well, and it gives Linda and I a chance to listen as a sounding board to you, because what you have to share and offer is equally as beautiful, and make no mistake about it, equally as powerful. Thank you, Linda. You're welcome here anytime. I will get you back on real soon. Let me go through the gamut we have in the calendar, and I want to have a session with you. I mean, a good 2-hour back and forth ping pong session. We'll set it up, okay, dear?
Do it.
You're love, you're light.
Water ceremonies.
You are love, you are light, and I will see you soon, baby.
Love you too. Have a great night. Blessings, everyone.
Back
Bye
at
bye.
you. Everyone, Linda Good McGillis, Center of Light Radio. Next week, I don't have my notes in front of me. Next week, I have some really, really cool guests. Again, before we close off the show, you have to act now. Power, connection, purpose. 6-week bust you wide open course. I'm going to grab you and throw you in the moving river. Very small fee. You must act now. Keith, I'm interested in the course. I will send you details tomorrow. Also, if you can get to Memphis, or if you are in Memphis, God-realized man from India, this is his 9th incarnation upon the earth. He was the first God-realized soul to ever step foot on the planet. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years ago. You want information of how to be a part of that tomorrow night? Say, Keith, I want to be there tomorrow night to have a conversation with God.